So, ladies and gentlemen, to start with, John.
Thank you, Mike. Again, my name is John Tizzard, and I have a sales and marketing business in Canada. I handle a number of different lines up here, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. What I wanted to chat about real briefly, and without involving too much in what I do day to day, is to try and, the best thing that I could hope to impart with you today is some sensitivity to the market from a standpoint of trends that are going on at retail and with the consumer that may impact your perspective on global sourcing. This is by no means an all-inclusive list, but if I look at things that are immediately impacting what I do daily, retail consolidation, the big continue to get bigger, economic change, what's going on in the economy and how that impacts global sourcing, continued increase in international sourcing, both by manufacturers and by retailers, customer process methodology and automation. What are they doing at the customer level and their IT departments that impact what we do globally with global sourcing, communications technologies, and the internet. Okay, just real quick, retailers battle to provide an inviting, pleasant, and unique shopping experience, and that's with retail consolidation. If you look right now, and I'd have to go back to the people at Hardlines, Mike, it's in excess of 60% right now of the top 5 retailers in Canada. The U.S. isn't quite that defined in Canada as it is in Canada. But the result is that there's a huge battle going on for the shopping dollar or the footprint to get the customer to come into the store. Some of the things that retailers are using, private label business has gone through the roof. More so, private label advertising is what's really the problem. The national brands are not being advertised by retailers the way they used to. One of the problems that I have with any new product bringing it to a retailer is that we need some way of making that product stand out on the shelf. I call it death by peg hook. If you hope to take a new product, go in and hang it on a peg hook in a retail environment today, in all likelihood, that retailer is selling between 60,000 and 120,000 products. What's going to make your product stand out? Unless you have tremendous advertising yourself and your PR department is banging on 12 cylinders, you aren't going to create footprints. You are not going to create a need for an individual customer to go in to drive your product at retail. Hence, you've got to do something to make it stand out. The other thing about private label products, and one of the things that's changed, is that private label products, even when we provide private label products for retailers today, they aren't like they used to be. The day of the container shipment, FOB China, is gone past. There are all kinds of responsibilities that you have with that product afterwards. Of course, returns being one of the more expensive ones. And with returns today, in days gone by, they were the responsibility of a retailer. There are retailers today that I work with that will be able to charge you back to the individual unit. If you have a return, normally you negotiate a number of percentage points or fractions of a percentage point up front with container shipment. But beyond that, if you exceed that by units, you'll get charged back for that. Increased demand for exclusive products or exclusive lead-ins. And again, that's a trend that's, as the retailers continue to battle for the customer's footprint, they have this insatiable desire for new and innovative products. If you have a new technology, an innovative technology, that's something that obviously is going to drive that customer to look at your product and buy that product, but they want some form of exclusivity on it. They want exclusive lead-in for a period of time, or they want it exclusive altogether, or they want you to private label under their brand. Okay? In-store merchandising programs. Well, why is that important to global sourcing? Again, the idea is not to sell some product and run away. The idea is to have a cohesive plan that product sells through for the customer. Obviously, if you've got the space the square inches of merchandising space in the store, you want to be able to optimize that. The problem is when it comes to play with various types of retailers, as you start to formulate a strategy for channel distribution of that product, you want everybody to be effective with it. And in-store merchandising programs, a lot of those things now are being mandated by the retailers. When you're sourcing product in China, it's a little bit more challenging to come up with a plan that will work for a mom-and-pop hardware store, a big box environment, and everything in between. And that's something that can still be done. Even though it's shipping FOB China, there are other ways of dealing with that. But it's something that when you're putting together a global sourcing strategy, remember to continue to think about how the retailer is going to position that product on their store shelf. There is a continued increase in retailer-managed offshore sourcing. And again, keeping in mind that going out and sourcing a product overseas and immediately you look at it and say, wow, what that does for my bottom line, for my GP is staggering if I look at the price of retail. A lot of the stops are cut out for retailers, and you have to be very competitive and very sharp on your pricing still, okay? Channel management is more important than ever as a result of retail consolidation. As it ties back to exclusive products, it's ideally you have to make sure that you try and differentiate your customers. Okay. Economic changes, obviously store staffing, and how does that affect your product and your packaging? It's got to be bang on. It's saving a bit of money on packaging, it's not necessarily the right place. The silent salesman is your packaging. Okay. Pressure for just right inventories. Man, those lead times, again, for offshore, you've got to think about how you work with your factory and how quickly you can get the product out of the factory, how they work to source raw materials. That has been a problem in the last couple of years of just availability of materials at times. But the lead times are getting shorter, shorter and shorter, and the money, in other words, the payment that you, where you get paid from the customer, they're getting pushed out further and further. A lot of customers are looking 60, 90-day terms on FOB container shipments, which is really, really challenging. And of course, exchange rates have been somewhat volatile, and again, materials costs have been crazy fluctuation over the last couple of years. So, sorry. I'm running out of time anyway. A couple of other things, and there's, on-spec provides a tremendous, a number of, tremendous, and I don't mean to sit here and profess all of on-spec services, but one of the things that recently in the project that I was working with on-spec, they actually spotted something that we missed. There's a lot of different steps that you communicate when you're dealing with a factory. And you think of everything, and having close to 30 years experience at this, and people and procedures in place, it's still possible. Something as simple as a UPC code on a package. And it was the master carton UPC code, and you stop and think, well, what does it matter? Well, that's not coming into my distribution facility anymore. Hence, if it's wrong, I can't send a shipper out to fix it. That product's coming container shipment to a port, and it's spread across the country. Okay, now I've got all these cartons across the country with the wrong UPC code on it. The problem is the minute it hits the store and they go to do the receiver, they walk up with their wand and they scan that thing, and it says that doesn't match your PO. So while they resolve it, guess what? You don't get paid. And it's when you're trying to manage your money that tight, it's imperative that absolutely every single step be covered. Fortunately, on-specs people caught it over there, and the disaster was averted, because keep in mind that those UPCs would then have to be fixed. Now, how do I fix that once they're spread across the country? It's something very challenging and very expensive, and quite frankly, they saved my bacon. And of course, increased reporting and SKU productivity at store level, and that's just something, again, as part of what the customers are doing. I think I've run over my limit here a little bit, Michael, and
that's fine, John. Thank you.
If I may. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.